Welcome to the Twisted Pint Tavern. Today, we're visiting r/AskReddit to answer, D&D Players of Reddit, what's the most awesome or evil thing you've ever accomplished? Early on in our quests, my party and I came across a goblin cave. We were severely outnumbered, but we could have killed them all. It just would have taken forever and someone may have died. So to make this encounter more efficient, our cleric decided to use his floating and glowing spell at the same time. Using a booming voice, the cleric convinced the goblins that he was a god. The goblins believed him and decided to form a cult for him. We enslaved them right after, and so from there on the rest of the campaign, we had a small goblin army follow us for the rest of the campaign. A lot of times we just had them back at our house doing hard labor to make us money. Eventually, at the end of the campaign, we had to defeat a dragon's castle. We were severely outpowered. While the 5 of us in the party were trying our best to fight off the dragon, the goblins were using catapults we bought for them to launch themselves at/onto the dragon. A few of us died in the battle, luckily still lived because of saving rolls, but we wouldn't have won without our goblin army. I guess when in doubt, just recruit a goblin army when you go to fight a dragon, because apparently it works pretty well. Had a rogue in our party. Every person we met and needed something from kept dying. I see where this is going. Everywhere we went, NPCs dropped like flies. The DM kept having us roll at random times, so we knew something was up. Turned out, finally, the rolls were to see if any of us noticed the rogue poisoning everyone. I mean, everyone. He had worked out a signal with the DM for when he wanted to kill someone, and he got away with it forever. We didn't realize his rolls were for if the poison worked. Ours were for if we noticed. He finally rolled a 1, the NPC noticed what he was doing, and the plot was exposed. Turned out he was a spy working for the main bad NPC. When we asked why he didn't try to kill us, and not just those helping us, he said, "What makes you think I haven't tried, LOL." I was initially gonna be like, oh, it's one of those players, but he worked it out with the DM and he was actually working for the BBEG, so it's a plot point. Maybe you didn't have fun with it at the table, I don't know if you did or not, but at least it's a plot point and he wasn't just being a dick about it. I'll try to keep this short. We were a low-level party. I was playing a rogue, David was playing a warlock, and Michael was a fighter. The quest was to get a spellbook from a wizard's tower. We broke in and the fighter failed his stealth check. The warlock was killed by magical rugs that smothered him. David was pretty upset about it because it was our first session, so he and the DM stepped outside for a few minutes after combat. When they came in, the DM said that the wizard was walking downstairs. I hid around the corner and used sneak attack to hit him for like 30 points of damage. Insta-kill. Turns out, outside, the DM said that David could play the wizard as his character had just died. Until I killed him. Whoops. I mean, it's a whoops, it's a slight whoopsie daisy, but you didn't know and the wizard was bad. He was evil, so he needed to die anyway. Just poor David. I'm part of a live improvised D&D stage show in Milwaukee. That sounds amazing. Not a traditional D&D campaign, but close enough. Each show is its own story. Audience chooses names, classes, etc. for each improviser, as well as a location and a villain. Our GM/host and I split NPC duties and he narrates and guides while I improvise background music on a keyboard. So this particular show, the audience designates one of our players as a cleric who serves a thunder god. The plot gets to a point where the party is defending a small village against a horde of oncoming enemies, who are due to arrive the next day. So our GM gives everyone a chance to do a training/prep montage, sharpening weapons, preparing potions, etc. Our Thunder Cleric decides to go to a cliff on a nearby mountain to commune with his god. Our GM sets him up, what is your prayer? Now, normally I keep the music atmospheric, slow and creepy for suspense, fast-paced battle music, etc. But once in a while, when the moment's right, and if I know the chords, I'll throw in a pop song for reference. This was one such moment. As the player begins his prayer, I softly begin to play the opening riff of AC/DC's Thunderstruck. Thunder Cleric goes on, building in volume and intensity, and ends up delivering an epic fucking speech about how much ass we were going to kick in the Thunder God's name. All while I stick with the same riff, and everyone in the audience is chanting thunder and stomping their feet along to the beat. I was getting goosebumps, it was fucking metal. We won the battle, of course, but it was the lead up that was the height of the show for all of us. TLDR, friends and I brought the house down with an epic speech set to Thunderstruck in a live D&D show. That just sounds incredible. I wish I was there for it. I want to be there for a future session. That sounds like so much fun. One of my party members bought an elephant, but we needed to travel by boat and needed to sell it. Elephants weren't exactly common in the city we were in, but they also weren't in demand. So I, barred with disguise self and the actor feat, went to the local stable posing as a noble servant desperately looking for an elephant for his master's son's birthday. I told him money was no object. He told us that he heard of an elephant in another city, so I told him I would go there but would be in town for a few days while arranging travel. A couple of days later, we had the owner of the elephant go to the stable looking to sell. The stable master saw the opportunity for profit and tried to buy at cost. I was in another disguise, pretending to be someone who'd heard of the noble search, and started a bidding war with the stable master. Once the price reached 500, I told him I would buy it for that price, but I would need a day to gather the money. The stable master offered to buy it for 480 right now, and he agreed. And then we got on the boat and left. Stable master later hired some mercenaries to try and track us down when he figured out he'd been swindled, but I used another disguise self to make them think they were following the wrong group. This is a really good use of disguise self. Like, disguise self is a very roleplay heavy spell, and because of that, it doesn't see use at as many tables as some of the other spells, and that's a lost opportunity because you can pull off some really good moments like this. Alright, this one is one of my stories. This is actually an extension of the story from the end of the Splitting the Party video, so go check that out if you want some context. In my pirate campaign, the party had just gotten back together after a split that happened because half of them were captured by the evil empire trying to take control of the islands. The monk had assembled an army to go save them, and when he got to the town, he scaled up the side of the center tower, leapt in through a window, and got there just in time to interrupt the BBEG's monologue. The party was still outnumbered though, and after taking out several of the BBEG's personal guard, he and the monk were locked in a duel. During the duel, the BBEG saw a twisted wand of ashwood sticking out of the monk's coat that he recognized. See, in a previous encounter, the party had stolen the BBEG's wand of fireball. This was it. So he snatched it from the monk, pointed it at the heavily wounded party, spoke some final words of mockery, then fired. Now's the point that I tell you that the monk was truly evil in this moment. He knew that the BBEG would recognize the wand since he stole it from him. So he left it with one charge, then went to a powerful mage ally that they had. He asked her if she could make one simple tweak. Make the fireball shoot out the handle instead of the normal end. Fast forward back to the tower. The BBEG hollers out his final mockeries, waves the wand, and casts fireball, which shoots out the back end, slams into his chest, and detonates immediately. He went flying out the large glass window, plummeting hundreds of feet below, delivering the townsfolk the charred, broken corpse of their corrupt leader. And that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and click that bell so you can catch more videos as I release them. If you want to find out how the party got split in my story, go watch my Splitting the Party video, which I'll leave linked in the description. Thanks again, and safe travels. I hear there's a storm brewing tonight, so be careful if you're leaving town. You don't want to end up like the last adventurers to wander into a lightning storm.